Hola, hola, peoples. Welcome back to Surviving on Spoons. We are nearing the end of season one. I don't know why I almost said season two, but we're almost at the end of season one.
We're
And
in that season two
today,
mindset.
yes, we're in the season two mindset. Okay, I've already moved on. But today we're tackling an interesting subject that some of you may relate to, some of you will not. It's actually a very niche subject. Um, but Before we do, Sash, you want to get do our spoon count check-in?
Yeah. Um, let's see, spoon check-in. I am totally running off of borrowed spoons. I had a very full Friday and Saturday, and let's just say I am in recovery mode right now. So I am currently on like one or two spoons, and it's only just barely what 3 o'clock. Yeah, it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon right now.
Honey, it's
Um,
3:36, so it's almost 4.
Oh, for me on West Coast. See, and that's how you know I my brain is not on yet because what is time?
Right.
Anyway, what are you working off of, Abby? How many spoons do you have?
Honestly, I don't even know. So I didn't get any sleep Thursday night. Like I spent the whole night at my desk because I couldn't sleep. And then Friday I had a very full day. And then Saturday I had a full day. And today it was supposed to be my rest day, but then it ended up also being a full day. And so
Mm-hmm. Because what is
I'm
resting?
like, I'm so tired. I'm like ready to go to sleep right now. So I have no spoons. I thought I had 8, but that was the illusion of laying in bed, and then I got up
Yes,
this morning
immediately as you sit up and you're like,
and
wait
it
a
all
minute,
left
nope,
my
it's
body.
not
It
even.
all left my
Yep.
body. I was like, oh crap. I don't have any
Something
spoons.
about being horizontal is a lie because you
Right.
feel so much better until you're vertical and then your body catches up with you.
Right. And I was like studying today and my heart rate was like 175. Like I'm sitting at a desk studying. I'm like, I don't think my body knows the difference between trying to run and just sitting up, I fear. Like there's
It just gave up.
there it just gave up.
There's no difference.
There's no difference. No.
Well, today, as Abby said earlier, we're tackling something that has been kind of heavy on our hearts for a little bit, and it's what does it mean when prayer doesn't heal?
Hmm. This was not light. Like, if you were raised or are still part of the faith community, you probably know the weight of this question. Like, man, it's a lot to unpack. You believe in God, aka higher power. You pray and you have faith, and like, the prayer of faith is supposed to heal the sick. But I'm still sick, so we're still suffering. You're still showing up to doctor's appointments, you're still doing all the things, and yet still it doesn't seem like your prayer is working.
Right. And when people in those communities say things like, just have a little more faith or God will heal you in his time, like it's all in his hands, like it can start to feel like the blame is being placed on you. Like you're the reason you're not better. You're not having enough faith or something. You're not praying hard enough, you know?
Mm, that part. Literally, it's it's like the spiritual version of gaslighting. Or they want to compare like your health stuff to maybe like lack of connection. It's crazy. It keeps you trapped in like this shame. You know what I'm trying to say? Is like, instead of running to Jesus for like help, like for support, you're afraid, you feel guilty because it's like, wait, I'm relying on him, but nothing's happening. So instead of your spiritual life being a support and like a strength for you during the trial that is chronic illness, you end up getting like shame from it and from the fact that you're a Christian and you're still sick. And it's something that like we've both experienced. Some of us more
Mm-hmm.
recently, some of us from leadership, some of us from family members, but we've literally experienced it in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's really true. And like it feels like it comes out of left field every
Mm,
time. Like
right?
even though you know it's a thing, when it
Mm-hmm.
happens, it's kind of just
Mm-hmm.
like
because it's
Wait.
right. And it's like people who you thought wouldn't say it sometimes just come out with it. I'm just like, excuse me? Like,
Yeah,
what
like
are
I
you
thought
even
you knew me
thinking
better
about?
than that. What did-
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, let's go a little bit deeper with that. There's trauma that comes from being told explicitly or implicitly that God is withholding healing from you because of something that you did or didn't do.
Right. And like let's like take a minute to realize that that makes it seem like God's love and his healing is a transactional thing. It's a works-based
Hmm.
thing because and it's not. Like it's not that you're, oh, let me be good so God can heal me. Like that's it's not how this works. Let me be good so,
Hmm.
God can show his love and like help me. That's not how this works. And that mindset, those comments that people make to people who are chronically ill or even struggling with like mental health issues makes it seem like God only helps you because of something that you do. He doesn't help you because he loves you. He helps
Hmm.
you because this is a transactional thing. And the shame that comes from that, you know, it eats at people. I mean, I remember when I was first diagnosed or struggling with a lot of mental health problems, like depression and stuff, like someone like made comments to me about that. And even when I first was chronically ill, like there was somebody that I was talking to professionally who made it seem like, I didn't have enough faith.
Hmm.
And it made me go down this rabbit hole of maybe God is disappointed in me. Um, Maybe God doesn't want me because, I'm too full of self and it's making me sick. And
Hmm.
that low key is spiritual abuse and it causes people to wind up in like
Not even
severe
low key,
depression.
bro.
This is true though. Like it's spiritual abuse. Like it causes people to wind up in like these dark holes and experience the complete opposite about what life should be with God through chronic illness or
Hmm.
like through the support of your spiritual life. Like it makes it really seem like God is this transactional person and he's not like at all. And so this
Hmm.
misconception really causes people literally can make your chronic illness journey, your faith journey way worse than it needs to
Yeah,
be
way
or
way much
like
worse.
it because it's like your spiritual life is supposed to be a support through your chronic illness journey, but then you have this shame that's
Hmm.
eating at you because you feel like your chronic illness or like you're not doing enough to heal yourself, which that is literally so dumb. Because obviously,
Hmm.
if and I'm saying this sarcastically with air quotes for people who can't see me, um, God only loves you, right? And only shows his love to you if you're healed. If you're sick, obviously you're doing
Hmm.
something wrong. Because why would you be sick and be a Christian? Obviously you didn't pray.
Right. And I mean, like, we love to say, at the beginning of our faith journey, or like, or at any point, in our faith journey, you've definitely heard people say things like, when you become a Christian, it's not going to be a walk in the park. It's not like the answer to all your problems in the sense that you're going to have a perfect life. But then, we have these people who are like, well, you're sick because you don't have enough faith. So it almost it's almost making it sound like, you're it's almost like you're not a real Christian unless you're like totally well, because that's evidence
Right.
of you being that perfect Christian, your perfect connection with Jesus, which is such an oxymoronic statement,
Oh, right. Like
from what
it's
you're being told like
crazy.
at the beginning of your faith journey.
Right. And I remember like side comment here being told by someone who their advice is literally irrelevant because number one, they don't believe in viral illnesses, but number two, they told me that disease is all in the mind.
I
Weird.
have to ask this guy, tell me my dry eyes, dry mouth is all in my mind. Tell me my cotton mouth and the fact that I cannot swallow. Yeah, that's
All in your mind. For Sjogren's disease, because everything you just said is Sjogren's
yeah.
disease, all
It's
in your mind.
Sjogren's,
I don't
yeah.
know what is wrong with you. It's all in your mind. Like
My
that's
head pain,
positive
yes. Yes, my head pain is in my
in
head,
my
but it is
mind.
not in my mind. Like,
And this person who doesn't well, this is a different person who doesn't believe in viral disease. She told me that, disease is all in the mind, essentially like colds, all of that. So she doesn't even believe in like viral stuff. So
my
like
runny
when I'm
nose.
telling you, like it's all in your mind. I don't know why your nose is running. Stop. Like, she's anyways, but like
Willpower.
seriously, like I'm looking at this girl cross like is she for real right now? And like she sees me in my wheelchair. This was at a Christian conference I was at, and it was a mutual, like it was a friend of one of my friends. And she's like, "Well, like, why are you in a wheelchair? Were you paralyzed?" And I was like, "No, I have a chronic illness that causes me to be in this situation. I can't really walk long distances and currently not really at all." And then she's like, "Oh, well,
Which sidebar, you didn't owe her any kind of explanation.
right, I did it, but like I just said, like I wasn't gonna
It's
say
a
anything. I just said
courtesy that
it.
I am
I
telling you this.
Right. And this girl looks at me and was like, "Oh, well, we need to look at the reframing of the mind." In Philippians, I was like, on that note, she legit was telling
On
me all
that
this stuff,
note.
and my friend was like, "Oh yeah," like trying to change the subject because it was like so awkward. And I just looked at her and I was like trying to figure out whether to laugh or whether to just be shook. Cause like, what? Like, and she's
And
like,
then you
"Yeah," and
make
then
that
you
face
like,
that's like right between that. It's just like you
right.
cock your head and you're like, I'm really
I'm like,
trying to.
what? What do you? And then she was talking about like, oh, like this fasting and prayer and just getting anointed, and I'm like.
Actually, sidebar to the sidebar, can we talk about the fasting part of the fasting and praying? Because some of us, okay, cannot do fasting in the traditional sense. So that is actually, if I was going to rank unhelpful tips, I have
Fasting.
to put that one
Fasting at number
pretty
one.
high.
I'm like, okay, like I can fast from social media. That's fine. Like I can,
Yes.
like whatever. But you cannot ask me to fast from. Do you know my health
Yeah.
conditions that I can just fast from food?
Right.
Yes, we are going to intentionally. Now, do I unintentionally fast
Yes.
sometimes? Yes, because health
Yes.
issues. But because of said
Yes.
health issues, I cannot intentionally fast. Okay, and don't ask.
It's this weird dichotomy. If you don't know, then it's going to be kind of hard to understand. But like,
Right. But anyways, back on topic because we can go off
yes,
for a minute.
we've
But
gone on
yeah.
like a bunch of tangents. Yes. But yeah, the Bible is not a vending machine. Okay, prayer isn't an exchange system, and we have to stop treating our
Mm,
relationship with God, our faith journeys, all of that stuff like it's a transaction because it's very anti the gospel.
right, exactly. And like we're gonna like this should be a hot take, but like guys, some people need to realize that healing is not the goal.
Right.
Healing
Oh,
is not
oh,
always the
girl.
goal. The goal can be peace, the goal can be endurance, the goal can be purpose, and all of these things are just as holy as healing. But for some
Hmm.
people in the burden that they were given to carry, and yes, it can be extremely heavy. We know it.
Hmm.
Literally, healing is not the goal. Like, let's not forget Paul, literally an apostle. I don't think you get more holy than that. Okay. He was like
Mm.
writing half the New Testament. He is the GOAT for the Christian church. Okay. Like, everybody loves Paul. Paul is the guy. Um, and he talks in Second Corinthians about having a thorn in his flesh. And I feel like so many times in Christianity, we go straight to the part about like healing or the part about grace being
Hmm.
sufficient and completely forget about the fact that Paul
Hmm.
had a thorn. And in case y'all
A
don't know,
few, if you think about it.
true. But in case y'all don't know, like scholars will talk about this being an illness that they think Paul had. Um, and so Paul could have been a spoonie. Okay, let's just make that real practical. And he had something painful, something that was persistent, something that he asked God 3 times to take away. But guess what? God did
Mm.
it. Instead, God said, "My grace
Mm.
is going to be sufficient for you because my power is made perfect in weakness." And to that
Mm.
point, healing is not necessarily the goal. Have you thought about the fact that we've prayed, we've cried, we've antagonized with God? Why have I been given this to carry? Because some of us weren't born with it, some of us
Hmm.
developed it. Why in the world
Right.
is my life this way? And sometimes healing isn't the answer that you get.
Right. And it's interesting because, like, there are so many examples of what you just talked about, like, more examples than Paul that are like way more obvious, where they, like, the person was having a problem, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and like the Lord literally says, I'm using this for, my glory. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
healing is not always the answer. And it gives me chills because Paul, like of all people, wasn't healed in the way that he was at, like in the way that he asked. And then, maybe there's room for us too, like room for our weakness, our chronic pain, our, unanswered prayers. And it reframes what faith really means, not demanding healing, but trusting that we're still worthy, still powerful, even in our brokenness. Like we can still be used to bring people closer to Christ, even
Mm-hmm.
in our weakness.
Mm-hmm.
You don't
And
have to be well to be in ministry.
right. Like, and I think it's so interesting because like I'm sitting here and I was thinking like being chronically ill healed other parts of me that I didn't know needed healing because it made me sit down and like be
Hmm.
forced to be with myself and explore
Hmm.
parts of me that I would not have had I not become ill. It
Hmm.
teaches you reliance on a higher power, on God, because there's literally, I'm telling you, I don't even know. Like I'm telling you, like I needed that support system. I need that extra strength. And it forces you to sit down with yourself because you ain't got nowhere to go but the bed sometimes. You know what I'm saying? You confined to a
Hmm.
hospital room. Like,
Something
what
about
am I to
chronic
do?
illness that slows you down.
Right. One thing
I
about being
wonder.
chronically ill, you can't go nowhere. You're stuck. But like on a very serious note, like it makes you sit down and sometimes have you ever thought about this? And I know this is a very controversial take, that sometimes God allows these things to happen for us to be for us to have to sit down and heal the part of ourselves that we wouldn't have healed other if we hadn't gotten sick. So if we were well, those parts of us would have become neglected. And he had to
Hmm.
put us in a corner for us to realize, one, you were solely dependent on me, and two, like you need to work on these parts of yourself that need to be healed. And yes, physical healing, like for your illness, may never come. But what about the spiritual
Hmm.
healing that I had to sit with, or the mental healing that I had to sit with to be able to continue on this road? And
Hmm.
some people don't see that because, I'm still using a wheelchair, but, that healing to them is not as important because they don't see it. It's not visible because, why are you in a wheelchair? Why are you, you're so young. Have you prayed? And we're in this space called the in between. It's like the in between of belief and frustration, like hope and grief. We're wanting to be healed and like begging for it. I mean, like to this day, I'm not saying that I've sat here and I've accepted and like, yes, Lord, I am sick. Amen. Your grace is sufficient. That is not what's going on here, guys. I have cried to this day of just being exhausted from being chronically ill and not being able to live the life of my peers and like just
Hmm.
the past year has been extremely hard for me with everything going like just downhill all at one time. And so I'm not sitting
So
here
many
and being
times.
like so many times and I'm just like getting whiplash to the point that I had to change. Like I'm still pre-med, but I had to change the way I approach my degree path because of the things that I've have happened in my life due to being chronically ill. So I'm not telling you and sitting here and being like, yeah, guys, I've accepted I'm not gonna be healed and I've just accepted it and my life it is the way that it is now and we're moving on. No. But we are living in this in-between space and that's the reality. And we have to try to like, it's hard to grieve and kind of accept that this is our life now.
And we're the walking proof that both can exist. Like I take meds, I do physical therapy, I use mobility aids, and I still pray, but I don't pray to be cured anymore, air quotes around
Mm-hmm.
cured. And that is another hot take, the not praying to be cured. I might
Mm,
stir the
mm,
pot a little bit. But what I
mm,
do pray for is I pray for peace. I pray for a good medical team, and I pray for strength when I'm at my lowest. And strength when I'm at my lowest, especially when I know I have to do something,
mm.
because like I can be at my lowest and, be in my bed and be like, Jesus, this sucks. But like, I have a comfy bed though. So
Thanks,
I'm
Jesus.
okay. But like, it's, yeah, thank you, Jesus, for my bed. But like on those days when I have to like pony up and like do stuff and I'm
Mm,
not with it,
mm,
that's that's powerful.
mm. I mean, like, I pray for clarity in hard decisions. Like, I had a very hard decision to make regarding my education, where it was trying to figure out how in the world are we going to tackle this because I had to withdraw from classes this semester, leading me
Hmm.
to push me back a semester behind because we love professors who don't work with us.
We
Um,
love it.
and I
We
sat
pray
there and
for
I was
them.
like, we do pray for them. That's also part of our prayers. The people who don't get it, and don't try to get it.
Right.
Um, and I sat there and I was like, Jesus, I honestly don't know how much of this I can take. Like mentally, I cannot do this. So you have to figure out how we're gonna get through this because I'm done. I clock out. My job is over. This is your job now. And so
Right.
you have to understand that like at some point, is it because we've lost faith that we have stopped praying for a quote unquote cure or a quote unquote healing? No. But it's more to the fact that we've accepted that maybe this is a path that we are meant to walk, and as extremely hard as it is, and it's totally like different from what people around us may be walking. We've just learned to accept that maybe this is God's will, and we've got to keep going. Like it
Hmm.
sounds suck it up in a way, but it's more so
Right.
I've allowed this to be God's will and allowed His will to be my life, and if this is His will, then
Hmm.
I am going to just figure out how Him and I are gonna get through this, because that's about
Hmm.
it. And that kind of faith is just as valid and just as real as if I was praying for healing. Because also remember that if God told me that for right now, this is the journey that I have to walk, if that is what He's made very clear, then in praying for healing, I am in denial of His will.
Hmm. Well,
Just saying, if I'm praying for a cure when God said, my grace is going to be sufficient, there's a reason I have you walking this path, then I am not allowing His will in my life. Just
hmm.
a point there.
Cue the organ. Sorry if you couldn't tell, we're black.
That's very churchy. We're very churchy, but okay. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. No, but sometimes, the deepest faith is in waking up and trying again, even though nothing
Mm,
has changed. And like
mm-hmm.
nothing. You're waking up and you're like, let's do the check. 1, 2, 3. Am I still sick? Yes. Am I tired? Let me sit up. Yep, I'm tired. Check.
Am I dizzy? Let me stand up. Ooh, the room is not still.
So insane.
Bro. Bro.
Yeah. But that kind of spiritual resilience does not nearly get enough credit. Like people are talking
Mm,
about spiritual resilience in a
mm,
lot of different ways, but for some reason, when it comes to the people who are chronically ill, the shut-ins, if you
for real.
well,
And like, you know, shifting this narrative a lot because I feel like a lot of community leaders, church leaders, pastors, youth group leaders, the
mm,
counselors, members of said organizations feel like chronically ill people are their projects, or they need
mm,
the anointing, they need this, and hear me out, I do not disagree that anointing and all that stuff is bad, like totally,
right.
I've been
That's not what
anointed.
we're saying.
That's not what I'm saying. But when I was anointed at the first time, it was for healing because I did get healed at that. I mean, from the stage that I was when I was low-key dying to now, okay, that is a progression of healing because I'm not in the hospital. I'm not like
Right.
my body's not shutting down on me in that way, for the most part. In that dramatic way, I should say. Um, um, but the narrative should also be shifted to God's will slash making sure that you realize that disabled people are not your projects and that
Mm,
chronic illness doesn't equal spiritual weakness.
right. Mm,
A lot of times it's the healing is the anointing that we pray for is just healing. Like when you get prayed for in church or whatever, these things, and you're talking to this pastor for strength is shifting that narrative to healing. But
mhm.
that may not be the narrative for that person to walk. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing to pray for their healing because there are people who
Right.
have made full recoveries and are in remission or their illnesses are pretty stable based on, maybe faith testimonies or treatments that have finally worked because of prayer that they've been
Mhm.
able to find. I'm not negating that fact. I'm just negating the fact that every single person is going to get that healing, or the fact that we get pity because we feel like chronic illness is spiritual weakness or us
Right.
struggling somehow or us not trying hard enough.
Right. No, I have a very real life example of that actually. You just made me think of it. My grandmother, who is no longer with us anymore,
Mm.
she was like, I'm trying to figure out how to say this where it's not like, I want to say she was my inspiration for chronic illness, but like she didn't inspire me to get chronic illness. It's not where
So
I'm
I took
going.
everything that she had because she inspired
It's,
me. Thank you.
I mean, my genetics might have been inspired. That's not
Oh,
what I'm saying.
man.
What I'm saying is She she had a lot of chronic illnesses. And so, when I got mine, when I started to get really ill, I would always look at her example, and she was like the most prayer warrior who ever prayer warriored. Like
Wow.
it was, I would never have seen her as spiritually weak in any sense because she was just that woman. And
Mm-hmm.
like she eventually succumbed to her chronic illnesses, and also she was old, so that kind of just helped that along even faster.
Mm.
But it was amazing the amount of faith that she had, despite all the challenges that she had. She got to a point where she couldn't attend church anymore, and that I know
Mm.
that really broke her heart.
Mm.
And she always wanted to be there for people, and she was always praying for people. She was always praying for me and my siblings and all of that stuff. And when she learned that, I was, not doing so great, she was such a strong prayer warrior on my behalf, and she was always trying to help me do stuff. And so when I hear people who come up the woodwork and they're like, your faith isn't strong enough, that's why you're so sick, I literally have to tell people, like, that's literally not how that works. Like,
Are you sure? No, I'm just kidding.
yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. So
It's messed up.
it's so messed up, but we don't need pity, but what we do need is inclusion. Okay. Making, services accessible, conferences accessible,
Mm.
stop centering every single testimony around healing. Yes, we're not saying that healing isn't a valuable part of a person's testimony, but there's a lot more than just healing,
Mm.
you know, that surrounds
Mm-hmm.
the testimony. Like, I'm sure my grandmother brought so many people to the Lord through her
Mm-hmm.
struggling. That
Mm-hmm.
sounds really like the Lord is using your suffering for his benefit. Like, mm, it's not quite like
Yeah,
that, but it's
right.
it's letting people share how God is showing up for them in their pain and not just in the resolution. Like, God is
Mm.
in it through
Mm-hmm.
it all, not just the end,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm. And it's making sure that you know that God is there for the ugly parts of your faith walk and whatever that
Mm,
looks like, the hard parts, not just the healing part. And I'll tell you this, like for most of my life, and especially in the past 6 years, I have related so much more with the testimonies and the stories that people have talked about of God showing up in their pain, showing up in their
mhm,
darkest moments than I have resoluted with the ones that get a resolution of God healing them.
mm,
Because that's just where I am at my in my life. I need the stories of where people are I need the stories of where people are hurting because that's where I'm at. I'm at a place in my life where I don't really have resolution. I'm just every mountain is I am climbing over every mountain, being drugged
right.
up the mountain, okay? And so
Hmm.
I those stories that I relate to, those songs that I listen to are a lot about that about God showing up in pain and God providing peace in that pain and providing healing the way that you needed it, but you may not have known it. And the
Hmm.
thing is, if you're someone who's been hurt by faith spaces, like this podcast is not about that, but I could tell you about the spiritual trauma that both of us, but
Oh,
like
yeah.
specifically, I can speak for myself, have
Mm,
been through like immense. Okay, guys, like I left faith and came back because of it. Um,
say it louder.
know that you're not alone. Your questions, they're not sinful. Your doubt doesn't make you less spiritual. And you're
Mm,
doing your best to make meaning of this situation that you've been handed because I'm telling you, it throws you off. And if you're
mm,
sitting there and you're confused and you're crying and you're like, Lord, I don't understand what's going on, it does not make you any less of a Christian than the faithful person who is out there being able to do whatever because they're perfectly healed and perfectly fine. Or the other person that you may look at and be like, but this person prayed and they got healing. You are not any
hmm.
less of a Christian than a person who may have to sit with that for a while.
Mercy. Yeah. Wow. Sorry to sit in that one for a minute. And that honestly is sacred.
Mm. Okay, so like we're wrapping it up. So I want to say this. Y'all can come at me in the comments because I don't really care. But it's okay to be angry. It's okay to feel let down by your faith
Hmm.
and those around you, but do not let them get to you to the point that you think that you're being let down by God because it's not true. God, it is okay to tell God that you are angry. It's okay to tell God that you feel like you are in an unfair situation because you feel like you should be healed. I want you to also sit with the fact that maybe what God has called you to is not healing. And know that during this process that is called life, it is still okay to believe and still hurt. They are
Oof.
not mutually exclusive, they can coexist. You can still believe
Hmm.
and you can hurt.
Hmm. Yeah, we don't have easy answers, but we believe in holding space for the hard questions. And we believe your body, just as it is not a failure, it's not broken, and it's not a spiritual mistake, even though it might feel like that.
Mm, really. And like, you know, honestly, that's a good place to end. Just know you're not less of a Christian. You're not less worthy because you haven't been quote unquote healed. And that the healing that you may need to experience may not be the healing that everybody else is looking for you to have. It may be
Hmm.
the healing that you have to sit with Jesus and really like the two of you, it's you and him. You're just figuring
Just
it
got to
out.
duke it out.
It may be
Yeah.
the healing that happens in your closet, not the healing that happens on the street.
Hmm. That's deep. Yeah. And with that, thank you for joining us for this. I feel like it's been like a more serious topic of
Mm.
conversation, although we had a little lightness in it.
Hmm.
But thank you for joining us all the same. Please make sure you subscribe, you follow, do the things on at Surviving on Spoons on Instagram and everywhere that matters.
Bye,
Bye,
guys.
guys.